Well, it's been a hot minute, but guess what, everybody? We are back once again. It's been 2 weeks, but we have arrived once again for Tier 3. Welcome, everybody, to the Breakout Racing League's Tier 3 Championship. And we have arrived at where it all started, the British Grand Prix here in Silverstone. And by the way, Echo is on Inters. I'm not sure what's up with that, but, we shall continue on with that. And we've already got a disqualification, so already quite a bit of drama here for Tier 3, but nonetheless, we're here for the British Grand Prix, and well, here at Silverstone, you've got a total of 18 corners that make up this brilliant track that has produced many overtakes and much more. Lots of drama, lots of controversy. And we'll just have to see what comes up here tonight, especially with a few British drivers that could potentially be going for the win here tonight. We'll have to see how that pans out. Now, 2 weeks ago, over in Canada, we had quite an interesting dynamic going on there, in which we saw Stig in the Red Bull take not only just a win, but a very dominant win, the biggest winning margin here in Tier 3 this season, by just almost 17 seconds ahead of Jordster, which Jordster pipped Gary for second. Gary still managing to finish on the podium. Once again, Gary keeping up that consistent run, finishing on the podium in every single race thus far. Can he do it this time around? We had Koenigsegg in the Aston Martin previously. He is, of course, reserve, and he is now in the, if I can locate him, he's in the Williams, so there we go. And then it was one underdog rounding out the top 5. Yeah, it was a bit of an interesting Canadian Grand Prix, and while I'm pretty sure Stig was very happy with how all that panned out, and he's going to try and do it again. Let's go over through to the Drivers' Championship, and right now it is Gary, once again, still leading the table by 60 points over Jordster. Jordster going ahead 2 positions up into second place after grabbing that exact second place in Montreal. Now, can he do it again or go one better here in Silverstone? We'll have to find out. One underdog still sits third, just 5 points adrift from Jordster in the McLaren, and of course underdog in the AlphaTauri. Redeemer in 4th. He missed last week, but he is here this week, so we'll have to see what he can do this time around. Stig rounding out the top 5 after his win. Only 2 points behind Redeemer for the time being. That's Gert in 6th, Echo 7th, Nava in 8th, Shredder 9th, Quick Tongue rounding out the top 10 here for the Drivers' Championship. And for the Teams' Championship, well, they have quite a bit of a margin do Mercedes. They currently have 171 points, currently topping the session. And right now, the only team to go over 100 points, but that is guaranteed to happen again, is Alfa Romeo, have 98 points. They are 73 behind Mercedes, though, so if they want to try and grab the constructors, they have a long way to go. AlphaTauri sits third with 81 points, respectively, ahead of McLaren. That is Red Bull rounding out the top 5, followed by Alpine, who jumped Haas in the standings. And those two are separated by just 6 points, and Haas and Williams are actually tied as of right now for constructors' points for P7, respectively. Ferrari sit in 9th, Aston Martin only with 2 points. They round out the 10 constructors that we have here for tonight. And we've already got some decent lap times up on the board, as Stig is currently top in the session with a 128.2. So already he is bouncing back into form. And there is the Red Bull topping the session once again. We'll see, can he grab another pole position here tonight? We will just have to find out. Going over, we as I said, we already have a couple disqualifications, but we also have a couple of drivers that are reserving for this race. That one of them being Bald Guy. He's here, and he is in the Ferrari. And we have, as I mentioned before, Koenigsegg, who actually went to the top of the session, by the way. I completely missed that. But he is going into the Williams for this week. And we also have, if I can locate real quickly, it's BRL Kieran in the Aston Martin. And he is currently reserved in that car for this weekend. And we'll just have to see how these drivers can do. And Koenigsegg had a pretty good Canadian Grand Prix 2 weeks ago. And, well, he did finish 4th, despite a unfair drive-through penalty. But still, he finished 4th nonetheless, so it was a pretty good debut from him. But he was pretty much running at the top the entire race. Can he potentially try and go for that top once again? I mean, obviously, he is currently topping the session, as I mentioned before, with the 128.1, just a tenth and a half ahead of Stig at the time being. Yeah, this race is going to be interesting, because I think there's going to be a lot of overtakes, but there's also going to be a very reoccurring theme, that being of the good old DRS train. Yep, we all know it, we all love it, maybe, I don't know. But the DRS train is going to play a factor. We'll just have to see how that finds out. And again, I keep forgetting to introduce myself. How do I keep messing that up? Anyways, your host here is, it's not Minico this time around, no. Well, it is, but I actually had a bit of a name change, and it's now Vikos. That's what it is now. It's very simple. A lot of people were, we're criticizing it quite a bit, but at the end of the day, it's my username, so who cares? But yeah, for anyone knowing how to pronounce it, not like anybody cares, it's Vikos now. So, there you go. Just for heads up. But anyways, going over to the qualifying session, and right now we only have 3 drivers out on the track right now, one of them being Iceman and Gert, who currently improved on his lap time with a 130.3. And Echo currently on a lap, though he is on the inter tire, is he? Nope, he's on the softs now. I was looking at the tires, not the best, but he is on the soft compound tire. So we're gonna go over on board with the Mercedes here, going through Sector 1. He's already gone through Village, and well, we'll just have to see as he goes through his lap. Purple Sector 1 now going through into Brooklands and Luffield is the Mercedes. His Mercedes teammate currently lined up 4th with a 128.7, and Echo has been around Gary's pace from time to time. I mean, he definitely proved it in Azerbaijan, where he took his first pole position of the season. Can he potentially try and do it again? We'll just have to find out. Going through Stone now. And now, a very good complex of Maggots and Beckett's. Left, right, left, and then right again. Is he going to approach a bit of traffic, though? There is a Ferrari in front of him. And note the Ferrari gets out of the way. It's not a Purple Sector 2, but it still might be a decent lap for the Mercedes nonetheless. Now going through over to Stowe. And while it's a very quick flick to the right, and we're going through to Vale to the final chicane, where we had that infamous Perez Leclerc and through goes Hamilton moment. Kind of interesting how he is on the Mercedes as he's going through there. Now going through Club, through the final corner. Where does he go? He only goes up to P8 with a 130.1. Not the best of lap times for the Mercedes, but he's definitely going to have to go again, as we're already halfway through qualifying here tonight. You know, Gary, he is currently on a lap. Actually, no, he is just starting a lap by the looks of it. So the Mercedes is going to go again, currently lined up in 4th. So is BRL Kieran in the Aston Martin. We'll see what he can do. Meanwhile, Yortster is coming up to the line. Is he on a lap? No, he's not, actually. He is currently on an out lap. It's a bit bugged right now. But, yep, he is on an out lap, as I mentioned. Now going over to the Ferrari of Iceman. And if he set a Purple Sector 1, so he might be on a bit of a flyer here, is the Ferrari, which, by the way, still loving the unique livery that they had. Speaking of unique liveries, by the way, in the next couple of weeks, I'd say 2 weeks from now, something along that, we might see a different looking McLaren, as they're actually sporting a special livery for the British? No, sorry, the Singapore and the Japanese Grand Prix is the Woking-based team. So we'll see that new livery in action come by at least October 11th. And then obviously around that time is when it's going to be... I actually don't remember the calendar. It's after Austria, I can tell you that much. And Austria is next week. So there you go. We'll see a different looking McLaren. And, well, this Ferrari livery, unfortunately, is not going to stay forever. I wish it would, but it won't. Iceman, by the way, going to go around the final corner. He goes up to P7 in the Ferrari with a 129.6. Meanwhile, Gary improves on his lap time, and he just manages to go ahead of Stig. He's up into P2 now with a 128.245, just under a tenth between him and Koenigsegg. Quick Tongue, though, he goes across the line to start his flying lap. What about Yortster in the McLaren? He is currently up on his time. Can he go better than 5th? Can he match Gary? No, he doesn't. Stays where he is. He does improve his lap time, but unfortunately, it is nothing doing for him. Meanwhile, there is a yellow flag in Sector 1. That is a very slow-moving AlphaTauri. It's a good thing Yortster was done with his lap time, or else that would have been rather catastrophic. But luckily, nothing doing. Meanwhile, Koenigsegg, he is currently about to set his second lap of the session. So we'll just have to see what the Williams can do. We're actually going to go on board with him and go for a full lap since I missed a bit. So here we go. Koenigsegg and the Williams at the British Grand Prix, going through turns 1 and 2, very flat and just simple left, right, and then hard on the brakes for Village, going through the turn 3, and then you have to set yourself up nicely for turn 4, in which he managed to do so very nicely. Now you got to pick your traction zone, and he does exactly that, going through the turn 5, now out into the DRS zone. Bit of traffic, but they are out of the way for him. And the Williams can continue on. He is up on his lap time, now going through Brooklands, and then left field. Very, very smooth, simple lap. And right now, he is up on his time. Can he peek into the 27s? We'll just have to see. And now going through the woodcut, and then one of the fastest corners in Formula 1, and that is Kops. And, well, he takes that very, very nicely indeed, using all the curb that he can. Now it's Maggots and Beckett's left, right, left again, and then right again, exiting out onto Chapel. And then through to the hangar straight. You can see he goes a little bit wide onto the grass, but he's still up on his time. Once again, another purple sector 2 this time around. Now going down the hangar straight, going into Stowe. This could be a very good overtaking opportunity. And, well, he negotiates it very nicely. Through to Vale now, to the final chicane. Hard on the brakes, hit the curb once again. Going through the club, make sure that you don't lose the car when you keep your car pointed to the right. And there you go, Koenigsegg sets another provisional pole with a 128.069. Nice. But unfortunately does not peek into the 27s. He might have enough time to go again, but we'll just have to see, as Stig is now going to be the next guy to potentially try and beat him. And right now Stig has to find pretty much 3/10 if he wants to beat his lap time. Does Stig manage to do it? Actually, I think he was starting a lap. Never mind. Again, it never tells you when they're on an outlap or not. What is the gamer tag of the guy in P1? That is Koenigsegg. That is his name. It's similar to the actual Swedish car brand, but it's obviously not. But yeah, there you go. I know how to pronounce stuff. And by the way, I did get confirmation 2 weeks ago from him in Canada that was the way to pronounce it. So there you go. Stig setting a purple Sector 1 in the Red Bull. We'll see if that's actually the fastest Sector 1 of this race. Qualifying. And this might be the only lap that he gets in. So this is going to have to be the quickest lap that he can manage, and, well, he's using pretty much all the track limits that he can. He's got a bit of a Mercedes ahead of him. Gary, though, he gets out of the way of Stig, and, well, now he can negotiate Maggots and Beckett's all on his own, and that looks very neat and tidy. Not getting on the grass in relation to what Koenigsegg did, so now it's a blast down the straight. He's 2/10 up on his lap time, so he has all the time to find through Sector 3. Can he find that time to go onto provisional pole? He was on pole 2 weeks ago in Canada, and he went on to take the win. He would absolutely love it if he could try and replicate that, but right now he's got to stick it on pole first. Where does the Red Bull go? Just behind. Wow, that's actually really close. 9 milliseconds between Koenigsegg and Stig. Koenigsegg and Stig. That's a mouthful. But they are, once again, very, very close, and Stig pushing it. Just wasn't enough, though, to take pole position for the British Grand Prix, as we're just waiting on it, as this might be the final couple of laps that we will see here in qualifying. And Gary, here's the championship leader, blasting down the straight, and he actually backs out of his lap. He backs out of his lap, so never mind. He's going to try and set up to go again. Very interesting call there from the Mercedes. Speaking of the other Mercedes, he is currently on a lap by the looks of it, I think. Actually, no, he is not on a lap. And Echo, he improved to 29.2. Currently in P7 is the Mercedes. And, well, I think that might be his qualifying session done and dusted. Right now, everybody either in the pits or on an out lap, in which Kieran is going to be one of the first drivers to set their final flying lap. And Kieran currently lined up in P4. He's only done one lap in this qualifying session. He's going to have to find half a second if he wants to go for pole position here tonight. So looking over, a couple of people now starting to leave the pits. The 2 Alfa Romeos, the Williams. Then comes an AlphaTauri. We have Gary. We have Echo. And, oh, that is actually Kieran going wide. Very wide to start his lap. But he manages to keep it valid. I ain't so sure about that one. But he keeps it valid. And he's going to set off on his final flying lap. Yellow flag in Sector 1. I believe that is just the AlphaTauri getting out of the way. That being a 1 underdog. But Kieran is going to be the first person to set lap time, so we'll stick with the Aston Martin here. He's pretty much got a clear track ahead of him. The next car in front of him is an Alfa Romeo. Kieran a little bit down on his lap time, so he is not finding the lap time that he needs, at least through Sector 1. But he still has plenty of time to find through Sector 2 and 3. Where can he find it, though? There's a yellow flag, and that is actually of Gary. Gary spun round, and that is Gary's qualifying done. The best he'll start is P3 for the British Grand Prix. Not exactly how he wanted his home race to go, but he's still there. I think that's what's important. Echo retires from the session. That is into the pits. So his qualifying is done. He'll start at least 7th. Kieran slightly up on his lap time. Slightly. Just over half a tenth. Yellow flag in Sector 2. Something's happened to the AlphaTauri. That might be just 1 underdog getting out of the way. Indeed it is. Now Kieran going through the final couple of corners, through the final chicane, and going into club. Using all the curve he can. Rear end, stepping out a little bit. But he's able to keep it onto the track. Where does the Aston Martin go? He goes up to P3. And that is a pretty decent qualifying for him. Meanwhile, Yorster going to be the next person to come across the line. Currently in P5. Would love to be ahead of at least Gary. And no, unfortunately for him, that will not be the case. Underdog is going to set off on his final flying lap time. Gary retires from the session. That's his qualifying done. Quick Tongue is going to come around the final corner. Where does he go? He goes up to P7, so he's right behind his teammate, but unfortunately not being able to beat him. Iceman just missed the flag. Iceman just missed the flag. So that is his qualifying done. And meanwhile, Redeemer going to be the next person to cross the line. The Redeemer has a bit of traffic here of a Red Bull. He's still up on his lap time, but that Red Bull needs to get out of the way. The Red Bull's not getting out of the way. Oh. Had to provide an overtake, and it's not gone well. Redeemer, that's his qualifying done. So with that, Redeemer will start at least P9. And I won't be surprised if he sends a bit of a message. Meanwhile, Koenigsegg, he is on a lap. Isn't going to be able to dip into the 27s. He'd be the only man into the 27s if he manages to get this lap done. Still on pole. I don't think anybody's going to beat him. But can he go better? Yes, he does! Koenigsegg on pole position. But the 127.8, the only man into the 27s. Meanwhile, Gert, he's coming around the final corner. Big improvement there for the Alfa Romeo. He goes out to P6. It's a very good improvement. Now there's only one man that can potentially try and beat Koenigsegg. He's quite a ways down on his lap time. Well, quite a ways up. Well, slightly up on his lap time. Excuse me. And that being of 1 underdog in the AlphaTauri. Currently on the P7. Would love to be a little bit higher than that. And indeed he is. He goes up 1 position. 1 underdog is up into 6th place. And with that, that is going to be qualifying done and dusted. Koenigsegg, well, he only needed the second lap, but he did the third lap anyways, and well, it was good enough to secure pole position for the British Grand Prix. Stig lines out the front row. Kieran in 3rd, Gary in 4th, Yortster rounding out the top 5 here for the British Grand Prix. And by the way, I forgot to mention, it's an all dry qualifying here for the British Grand Prix. We're just waiting for Quick Tongue to fully immerse himself into the pits. And there we go. By the way, I'm loving the fish helmet from Koenigsegg here. So there you go. Koenigsegg on pole position for the British Grand Prix ahead of Stig. So it's a Williams and Red Bull on the front row. Kieran for Aston Martin lines up in 3rd. Gary in 4th ahead of Yortster. And then Underdog in 6th ahead of Gert. And then Quick Tongue, Echo, Redeemer rounding out the top 10. Redeemer getting a little bit blocked, and I can tell you right here, right now, he's not very happy about it. Iceman and Bald Guy line up 11th and 12th for Ferrari, so it's the 6th row for Ferrari. Unknown will line up P13, didn't set a lap time. Arabian Killer, unfortunately getting disqualified from qualifying. He'll still be there for the race, and he will line up in P14, respectively. Bit of cloudy skies, but it is still a dry British Grand Prix, I can tell you that much, as we are now going to wait for the drivers to set up their tires, set up their fuel, everything that they need to do to prepare for this Grand Prix. Let's go over through the qualifying order. Never mind, because this game once again glitches and won't let me go to the race director. There we go. So once again, it is Koenigsegg on pole position ahead of Stig. Gary, the championship leader, currently in 4th, ahead of Yortster, his main championship rival. No, I think Gary is probably thinking, well, I just want to finish on the podium, because that's what he's done in every single race this season. He wants to continue that record, and, well, we'll see if he can. It might be a little bit difficult, but we'll just have to see come 26 laps here for the British Grand Prix. It could go either way, can this race. We could see plenty of incidents, plenty of chaos, but also a lot of action. Hopefully. Fingers crossed on that one. So we'll just have to see who has the right strategy, the best pace, and in the end, who can keep up within the DRS train or get away from the DRS train. That could be absolutely crucial. Just still waiting a little bit for drivers. Right now, currently 4 drivers have selected the hard compounded tire. That being a Stig, Kieran, Echo, and Iceman. Obviously, Iceman starting outside the top 10. He'd probably want to go the alternate strategy to do something here. And, well, we'll have to see what the Ferrari can do. Let's go over through last season's, actually, British Grand Prix while we're here. So, our main drivers that we have here, of course, I can only name 2 that are actually here. That being, of course, Redeemer and Gary. Gary, he finished 5th in the British Grand Prix last season. Obviously, there were a couple of drivers that were just way faster, but it was also a wet race, so that also makes quite a bit of a difference. And then it was Redeemer in the Ferrari at that time. He finished P10 in that race, and he managed to grab a point for Ferrari. So, with that, he's going to want to try and grab more points. Gary will love to finish higher than 5th for this British Grand Prix. Obviously, with it being his home track, wouldn't anybody love to finish really well at their home track? I know I would. Anybody would. Let's be real. So now going through on the formation lap. I don't know if I'm going to commentate tomorrow No Limit, if I'm being perfectly honest. I don't know. It depends on the commentator situation, which we all know is a little bit in shambles. Hence why I'm alone again. You gotta love it, but yeah. We'll see. I could be. I could not be. Could also be depending on how I feel. I don't know. You'll find out. You'll find out. So Koenigsegg currently leading us through this formation lap. This is only a 2nd race, by the way, is Koenigsegg, and he's already got 12 points to his name. And well, right now he is on pole. He's gonna try and do better than that. Step on the podium for the first time in just his 2nd race. We'll just have to see. Stig, though, is definitely going to give him a run for his money. Obviously, Stig having an amazing pace 2 weeks ago in Canada. He's going to try and replicate that and pressurize that Williams down to the checker flag and hopefully get ahead by the time they reach the checker flag. Kieran, he's had only 1 race as well. in this tier. Obviously, he has been in Breakout Racing League before, but not in this tier. So this is only his second race. He currently lines up third, so reserves looking pretty good for this race, especially in the likes of Koenigsegg and Kieran. Gary in fourth. He would love to just increase his championship lead. Yortster in fifth, ahead of Underdog. That is your top three. Gert in seventh, ahead of Quick Tongue. Then Echo, Redeemer rounding out the top 10. That's Iceman. Then Bald Guy, Unknown, and Remy Killerak, who's actually ahead of Unknown. I think Unknown had a bit of a moment through qualifying, through the formation lap, but he's able to keep it going. And now everybody's going to line up on their grid slots for this Grand Prix, and Kieran went a little bit deep into there. I'm the best commentator? Well, I appreciate that, but I don't think I'm the best. I try, obviously I try what I can, but, you know, I don't think I'm the best. I would say, I don't know where I'd be. I'd rather not judge. So love to get a good camera angle, but it's the 5 red lights for the British Grand Prix! It's lights out and away we go. They're held for quite a while, but Koenigsegg gets a pretty good jump ahead of Stig. Look at Yortster and Gary going out there 4 wide as they go through into turn 1. But Koenigsegg leads from Stig, from Gary. Gary already making an incredible start. He's up into second place, though actually that's Stig going round through turn 4. So Stig already round. It's Koenigsegg that leads from Underdog, from Kieran, from Gert, all the hard runners evenly spread out. Stig getting a terrible start from second on the grid, but Koenigsegg getting a good start, and Gary getting a brilliant start here in this British Grand Prix. That's exactly what he would have wanted. Underdog also getting a good start as well, but I'm not sure what's happened between Stig and, well, what really happened is Echo manages to get ahead of Redeemer. Obviously, Echo on the hard competent tire, and Redeemer on the medium competent tire. Iceman trying to have a little bit of a look, but can't do anything of it yet. He's going to have to stay behind the Alfa Romeo for the time being, and then comes Bald Guy behind Iceman, and Killerak, Unknown, and Stig. And meanwhile, your top 5 looking pretty close right now. Kieran on the back of Underdog for this race right now, as Koenigsegg starting to stretch in his lead a little bit here, but is not able to do anything of it. Underdog has been completely dropped by the top 2. Meanwhile, here comes Kieran round the outside. It's still, can he make it work? Underdog has that inside line, though Kieran gonna try and keep it around the outside, and he manages to do it. A great move. There's a bit of contact, though. Underdog just lightly tapping the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin manages to keep it together, and he manages to move himself up into third place. Underdog down to 4th, and Gert looking to try and pressurize the AlphaTauri again. But Koenigsegg leads the first lap from Gary, from Kieran, from Underdog. Then Gert rounding out the top 5. Quick Tongue, Yortster, Echo, Redeemer, and Iceman rounding out your top 10 for this British Grand Prix. Right now, the position changes. Gary going out 2 positions. Same with Underdog, Gert, and Quick Tongue. They went on the medium compound tire. Needless to say, that worked out quite beautifully for them. Yortster starting on those mediums. He did not have a good start, and, well, he dropped 2 positions as a result of it. Meanwhile, the 2 Ferraris having a bit of a battle. Bald Guy going for the move on his teammate, and Bald Guy manages to get ahead of Iceman up into 10th place, and is now going to try and pressurize Redeemer, in which that's going to be an interesting battle. Obviously, those 2 have raced before, so you would assume they would know how to race each other. If they didn't, then I'd be awfully surprised. Nonetheless, though, Bald Guy going to try and chase after Redeemer for P9 in this race. Redeemer trying to make up for that qualifying mishap that he had with Stig's AI, and with Stig, he had to go into the pits, and now he is down in P14, dead last, 36 seconds behind the pack. He's going to have a lot of work cut out for him. So far, everyone's starting to spread out a little bit. Kieran has managed to drop Underdog. Koenigsegg has managed to drop Gary. And Gary, well, he's managed to drop Kieran. So, a couple of drivers spread out as Koenigsegg, once again, leads the first lap from Gary, from Kieran. That's someone going wide there. I'm not sure who that was. That might have been of Quick Tongue, actually. Indeed it was. So DRS has now been enabled for this lap, on lap 3 of this race, and Gary just outside of that DRS window. One person, though, who definitely isn't outside of that DRS window is going to be Gert in the Alfa Romeo, as Gary's going to try and close in onto the back of that Williams in front of him. We'll just have to see if he can. Meanwhile, Gert has a DRS, has the slipstream. He's going to think about a move. He looks for it, I think he's just rather letting Underdog know that he is there. And, well, Gert is just going to stay behind for the time being, though he's not entirely getting the best of the exits, though, through left field. But he's still managing to stay very closely onto the back of that AlphaTauri. The AlphaTauri seeming to struggle a little bit on these medium competitive tires, and Kieran absolutely flying on those hards. And meanwhile, Gary, I think he might have DRS actually, as Iceman now gets a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. That's the first time penalty of this race, as Iceman's trying to close up on his teammate. Meanwhile, Gary, there you go. That DRS flap wide open on that Mercedes. And there you go. Gary has the DRS on Koenigsegg. Can he keep it, though, by the time they reach the DRS detection point through turn 3? We'll just have to find out, as there's actually a bunch of switching going on for the back. Sorry, I'm missing this. As Gert is looking for a move around the outside of one Underdog. Can he make the move stick? Underdog has that inside line and manages to stay ahead of the Alfa Romeo, and he keeps his 4th position, though he definitely looks to be struggling in this race. Meanwhile, battle for P12 really starting to heat up, and P11 as well, as actually that's Iceman gone round. And that's Iceman losing 1 position, maybe 2 positions, and there you go. So Iceman having a moment through club, and now is down to P13 respectively, as Unknown is potentially looking for a move on Arabian Killer for P11 in this race. You know, someone who also could be potentially looking for a move is Yortster, who's currently stuck behind the AlphaTauri of Quicktongue right now. And we've seen that Yortster definitely has the pace in this race, as Quicktongue goes a little bit deep there. But we've seen that Yortster has pace. We've seen it many times. I mean, it's been pretty evident as Stignas is the fastest lap. So the McLaren definitely be up there, but right now he's just currently stuck in his position right now. And right now he's the highest driver that currently has DRS, as Underdog has dropped Gert a little bit. Quicktongue going a little bit wide through Stowe. Oh no, sorry, Cops. My mistake. But he's managed to stay behind. Meanwhile, Redeemer has managed to get ahead of Echo, and Iceman has now gotten ahead of Unknown. And here we go. DRS wide open for the McLaren of Yortster. He's gaining on the AlphaTauri. Gaining. Is it going to be enough? He pulls to the left-hand side. Going to try and go around the outside into Stowe. But Quicktongue just has that inside line. And right now, Yortster not able to do anything of it, so he's going to have to stay behind is the McLaren. And, well, he's going to have to try and go again. But Redeemer's now trying to pressurize. That was a bit bold. It was a bit late. He's managed to make it work, though. He spins round. Redeemer going for a bold move. Lost the traction. And now he has fallen all the way down to P13. And he's spun around again. Not what the AlphaTauri? Sorry, Alfa Romeo would have wanted. Meanwhile, Bald Guy is looking for a move on Echo. Echo going a little bit deep there through the corner. He's starting to struggle on those hard competitive tire. But Bald Guy definitely not struggling on those mediums. And now the Ferrari gonna have the DRS on the Mercedes as the yellow flag once again through the turn 1. That is going to be a Redeemer as Bald Guy goes on the inside of Echo. Echo's going to try and keep it around the outside. Bald Guy leaves them the space, leaves them the respect. They're going to continue this battle through to turn Sorry, I'm forgetting words. Anyways, they're still going wheel to wheel, but I think Bald Guy has managed to get ahead, and indeed he has. Meanwhile, Iceman has gone round again. Iceman has gone round once more, and it is not the Ferrari's day here at the British Grand Prix. However, the other Ferrari seeming quite nice right now in terms of race pace. I mean, he certainly has a traction to keep up. Meanwhile, speaking of keeping up, Kieran is now starting to gain on Gary now. So Gary not able to match the pace of Koenigsegg in this race. And Kieran actually going a little bit wide there. That's going to cost him a bunch of times. So DRS, well, he thought he had it. No longer. He no longer has it now. So right now, the top 3 evenly spread out as it stands. Gary 1.5, 1.4 behind Koenigsegg, and Kieran trying to catch up to Gary for P2 in this race, but right now nothing doing. Meanwhile, someone that is also trying to catch up in this race, that being of Gert. He's trying to catch up to one Underdog. He has that DRS. He's just outside of a second, though. This DRS will help him, though. It's going to be enough, though. I'm saying though a lot. I think Underdog just might have the better pace right now in this race in relation to Gert right now. As Gert, he is trying. You can definitely see he is closing in to that DRS. It's just not enough, however. Meanwhile, battle for P8 still going on as Echo's managing to stay onto the back of Ball Guy for the for P8 in this race. He's not able to do anything though. He's got really good closing speed though. By the time they make it through Megas and Beckett, so that'd be really risky if he tried to make a move there. But he doesn't. So he's gonna stay behind once again, but he's gonna have that DRS. Does the Mercedes. He is gaining down the hanger straight. DRS wide open, the slipstream, using potentially a bit of battery. Really good straight line speed there, does the Mercedes, but he's not going to be able to do anything by the time they arrive to Stowe, and it's not going to be enough, so he's going to have to stick behind for one more lap. Meanwhile, someone that might not be sticking behind another driver for one more lap is going to be Kieran, as Kieran has really closed into Gary on this lap, and he's going to have DRS here down this straight. So there you go. Kieran having quite good pace on those hard compounded tire in relation to Gary on those mediums, and Kieran gaining a little bit with that DRS, though obviously he's not close enough to make a move by the time they make it to Brooklands, and he's gonna have to stay behind for another lap. Meanwhile, someone that isn't staying behind for another lap is Echo. He's managed to clear Ball Guy. That's the battle for P8, and Echo gets ahead and is up into 8th respectively on the hard compounded tire. Ball Guy down to 9th. So right now, some drivers spread out, and then some drivers are close together. Seems to be the case right now, as Gary's actually blinking, by the way. So Gary, a bit low on ERS here, and Kieran, well, he's using his ERS to close in to the Mercedes. Mercedes power against Mercedes power. One of them's the Aston Martin, though. Can he do anything? By the time they make it to turn 5, though, is going to be the question, or turn 6 for that matter. And right now, going through the Stowe, he wasn't able to do anything. So he's going to have to set himself up nicely. You can see the traction difference. Gary definitely struggling a little bit. And Kieran, well, he seems to be in a happy place right now. So maybe this might be the points where the mediums are starting to drop off a little bit, as Kieran is looking for a bit of an outside move, potentially trying to make Gary defend a little bit. Gary sees that Aston Martin in his wing mirrors. And, well, that Aston Martin might be alongside him soon. Who knows? We'll have to see. His stay gets a 30-second time penalty. That's not going to help him in his battle for P13, as Kieran unable to make a move on Gary. So it seems as if Gary has some pretty decent straight line speed right now, and that's what's able to keep that Aston Martin at bay, as these guys are actually starting to close in a little bit on Koenigsegg ahead. So Koenigsegg having a pretty comfortable race. That race might not be so comfortable right now, especially with the legs of Kieran, who's absolutely flying. You can just see on the back of the Mercedes here, oh my, look how close Kieran is on the back of that Mercedes. He's going to have the DRS once again. He's going to have the slipstream. He's going to look for the move. He's gaining. He pulls to the left-hand side. He's going to try to go around the outside of Stowe. Gary defends that inside line. Though Kieran has that traction to go around the outside. And, well, he's done it once before. He's done it again. Kieran has moved himself up into P2. Gary nearly hits the back of that Aston Martin. And, well, he doesn't. And now Kieran is going to try and set his sights on Koenigsegg for the lead of this race. Gary seeming to struggle on those medium compounded tire, and then make you wonder, when are they going to pit? The pit window is coming up rather soon, or it might already be here. I'm not entirely sure. So that's really going to play a difference now. Gary, though, does have that DRS down this straight, so he's going to gain potentially a little bit. Actually, no, he doesn't gain at all. He doesn't gain whatsoever through that. So there you go. The championship leader, not able to do anything right now. He's just simply staying behind right now. Same with Gert. Gert is still on the back of Underdog for P4. He's not able to do anything yet. Keyword being yet. We'll see if he can. As you can see that AlphaTauri right in front of him, but he's just not able to do anything, though. Underdog went a little bit deep there through Cops, and that might give Gert a little bit of encouragement, as Redeemer now gets a 3-second time penalty. And now going through Megan's and Beckett's, and Gert might have the traction here. He definitely has the slipstream. He has the DRS. This could potentially be Nope, he's not gaining enough, so never mind on that. Gert having to stay behind. Iceman now grabs another 3-second time penalty. That's now 6 seconds to his name. And Gert just still having to stay behind the AlphaTauri for the time being. And, well, he's going to have to try and go for another overtake, potentially into turn 5. Or turn 6. Wait, I keep mixing those up. I don't know why. And Gert just simply kind of playing it safe with the track limits, you could say. He's just he's biding his time. He knows how powerful the DRS train can be. He's absolutely pulled away from Quick-Tongue, and Quick-Tongue still is under pressure from Yordster for P6, sorry. As Kieran now grabs a 3-second time penalty. So Kieran pushing the limit, and he's pushed the limit a little bit too much, went past that white line, and now that is 3 seconds added to his race time. Right now, they'll only drop him down to P3. So at the end of the day, it's not all bad. But now we have an interesting factor at play with Kieran grabbing a 3-second time penalty for this race, and now out onto his race time at the end of this 26-lap race. And we're already 10 laps in. Meanwhile, going back over to P6 and P7, Quick-Tongue able to keep the McLaren at bay, you know? Quick-Tongue just kind of biding his time. Obviously, Quick-Tongue has been on a bit of a form as of recently. He's picked up quite a few points in the past couple of races. And, well, he seems to be trying to do that again. And right now, he's still currently in P6. As actually, we have pit stops. We have pit stops, everybody! Yay! And it's Koenigsegg, the race leader, coming into the pits on this lap. So here we go. First pit stop, and it's going to be a set of hard compounded tires for the Williams. That is easily going to be to the end of this race. The question is, though, is how quickly he can warm up those hard compounded tires. He's going to come out. It's going to be a bit close, actually, between him and Raymond Killerack, as Raymond Killerack is coming through to turn 1. Actually, he's going to be behind these two, and I don't think that's what he wanted. I think Koenigsegg probably didn't want to be within traffic, but now he is. So now, not only is he going to have a difficult time warming up hards, but by the time he catches up to the guys in front of him, he's going to be stuck in that elusive DRS train. He's got around 2 seconds to make up between him and Iceman right now. So, with that, Koenigsegg has a bit of work to do here for the Grand Prix, as we have a yellow flag, and that's the unknown round through turn 2. And actually, wait a minute, we have another driver around. That's Kieran. Kieran has gone round through Megans and Beckett's. And the next thing out of Chapel, he's around. And now he's lost not one, not two, but 3 positions now in the British Grand Prix. As now, Gert is actually going to dive into the pits. So Gert going into the pits on lap 12 of this race. Same as Yordster. So Yordster's tired of being behind that AlphaTauri. He's going to potentially try and go for the undercut in this race. Bald Guy also diving into the pit. So Gary once again leads another Grand Prix from Underdog, from Kieran, from Quick-Tongue. Obviously with that, looking over the tires, Gary started on the medium. Same with Underdog. Kieran, though, he started on those hard competent tires. Let's not forget. And well, although he has looked pacey, that one little mistake did not help him in this case. And, well, Koenigsegg, he hasn't really caught up to Iceman. He's actually lost a bit of pace, but, crucially, he's managed to stay ahead of Gert. So that's probably exactly what he would have wanted. Let's look over to the race leader, Delta. Right now, Gary has a 28 second buffer to Koenigsegg ahead of him. So he has that, but obviously he has that pit stop to make. So that's going to be absolutely crucial come this, for this race. Can Gary pull enough of a gap on those mediums to go to be on a set of hards, fresher, and potentially try and catch up? As Stignas does fast the lap with the 130.6. I'm not going to read the rest of that because that is literally because that's the devil. That is the devil. Well, he's down in P. Make things even more interesting. 130.666. As I already said it. Okay, and he's down in 13th. Yeah. That's all you need to say. As Iceman now goes with 3 second time penalty, he's actually spun round. He spun round. through Chapel. And there you go. Iceman now behind Koenigsegg, as we actually have 2 pit stop runners, that being of Gary and Underdog. Underdog going on to the side of hard, same with Gary. The question is, where does Koenigsegg come out in relation to Gary? Remember, he was ahead of Gary when they made it through, when they went through. But I don't think, no, he hasn't. I think that warm-up might have been a little bit too much, as Gary is ahead of Koenigsegg, but Gary does have those hard competitive tires to warm up, but crucially, he is ahead. I think that's exactly what he would have wanted. As now the Williams can see that Mercedes in front of him, so he's now going to try and hope, and just hope that Gary has a hard time warming up those hards in relation to what Koenigsegg had to deal with, as Underdog has come out behind Iceman, but he's managed to stay ahead of Gert. The Gert has closed in a little bit with that undercut. Gary not really struggling. He definitely struggled there through cops. So there is the warm up. You can see it. Gary not exactly having the grip in relation to Koenigsegg, and this might be an easy move here for the Williams, as meanwhile Kieran has gone into the pit. Same with Quick Tongue, so a bit of an early pit stop there from Kieran. Obviously he hasn't pitted in this race, but he's decided to go half the race, albeit on the medium competitive tire, which is very interesting indeed. Koenigsegg not able to get ahead of that Mercedes, you know. This might play a factor. Gary having that overcut, it might have been enough. It genuinely might have been enough. Meanwhile, Kieran is coming out of the pits. He's going to come out ahead of Underdog, ahead of Iceman, and ahead of Gert. So the overcut really has worked, and it's worked an absolute treat actually for Kieran, as well he can see the provisional race leaders right in front of him. There you go, there's the Aston Martin trying to put some tire temperature into those mediums, and he has the medium competitive tire. Yes, he has to warm them up, but they won't take him long to warm up those mediums in relation to what Koenigsegg and Gary had to deal with. So now, Kieran, with the alternate strategy, is now within touching distance of the race lead. He's more within touching distance. He's got DRS on Koenigsegg, and he's got those mediums warmed up already. So already, Kieran, there you go. He has that DRS. Unknown grabs a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. But there you go. Kieran now has the better tires. But the thing is, he has to do half the race on these medium compacted tire. And so whether they'll play a massive factor, we'll have to see. As well, you can see the grip he has. And a purple sector 3 for good measure. Kieran just has so much grip right now on those mediums. And, well, Koenigsegg seeming to just not be able to just take as much apex speed, really, in relation to the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin is having a little bit of a look round the outside. You don't have to see a move like that. What a move that was! Kieran round the outside, got the traction, and now he's moved himself up into P3, and he had the DRS to pull away from Koenigsegg. That was a brave move, but what a move that was indeed. And, well, now he's moved himself up into provisionally P2. Now, he's going to try and close into the race leader, that being Gary. But let's not forget, though, Kieran, he has that 3-second time penalty. Let's not forget about that. He has that 3-second time penalty. So, though he has the pace and the better tires, can he pull that gap? It's not easy to pull away from somebody, especially... Oh, excuse me. Especially when it comes to this DRS train. And, well, Kieran has absolutely dropped Koenigsegg. Unless Koenigsegg does have DRS, he does. But Kieran has absolutely dropped Koenigsegg for P3. Sorry, not Gary. Echo is now into the pits. And now he's going to go onto a set of the medium compounded tires. Does the Mercedes. And indeed he does. Pretty simple pit stop there for the Mercedes, as now Kieran sets the fastest lap with a 130.610. And you can see how close he is onto the back of Gary through Village here, and he's basically pushing him through these corners right now. And I think he's gonna potentially launch an attack quite soon, as he has that DRS, he has the slipstream. He's closing in. It's not enough though to make a move, though. You can see the grip difference there through Luffield. Yeah, Kieran just has a lot of pace now. Can he convert it? Can he pull? We'll have to see. As Koenigsegg is now 2 seconds off of these guys. And meanwhile, Kieran, he is close up a lot going through cops, so he's not going to be making a move here. It would have been pretty risky, but risk over reward. He's clearly choosing the reward right now. And there you go. His one underdog now gets a 3-second time penalty. And, well, that will not affect his race position as it stands. Meanwhile, Kieran going for the move on Gary. Kieran pulls into the lead of the British Grand Prix, though Gary's going to try and fight it back. Kieran's already overtaken Gary once. Well, he's had to do it twice. And, well, the second one was probably more sweeter, as it was for a higher position. It gets a little bit squirrely, though, on the exit. And that might give Gary a little bit of encouragement here, as he can see that Aston Martin in front of him. All Gary really needs to do is stay within that 3-second of Kieran. If he can do that, then he essentially does have this win. Granted, he doesn't make any mistakes. You don't really, well, as of recently, you don't really see a mistake from Gary, at least track-wise. Strategy-wise, who knows? There hasn't really been many strategy blunders. But Gary does have that DRS, though. This is what I was talking about earlier. Gary having that DRS, not really gaining, though. Didn't really gain, though, through that corner, or through that straight. Didn't even gain a 10th, for that matter. They gained quite a bit there through Luffield, so Kieran potentially having a little bit of a moment there in the Aston Martin. He's just able to stay exactly where he is. Obviously, Gary not able to launch an attack anytime soon, as those hards are not able to grip up, and he doesn't exactly have the battery to do it either, as we saw before. On the steering wheel of his, that is. So now, Kieran and Gary pulling away from Koenigsegg. Gary, though, not able to make a move by the time they make it to Stowe. And, well, he just simply has to stay behind. And hopefully he keeps within that DRS, is probably what he's thinking. Meanwhile, battle for P6 is about to heat up a little bit, as now Yortster has gotten really close onto the back of Quicktongue here. Going through over to Stowe. He's going to potentially launch an attack. He thinks about it. The Quicktongue is going to have to stay behind. Yortster just seems to be stuck a little bit. He doesn't exactly have the pace in relation to the front runners right now, and he's stuck behind that AlphaTauri. The AlphaTauri having a little bit of a moment there through the final chicane, and that might give Yortster a bit of encouragement by the time they make it through to the straight, or even down into turn 3. Yortster not able to make a move yet. It's just having to stay behind that navy blue and white AlphaTauri, as we have a yellow flag, that being of, who is that? That is of Iceman. Iceman also going into the pits for good measure. Meanwhile, this could be the attack there from Yortster. Has the look, but it's not enough. Iceman retiring from the race, and he thinks that is the best he's going to get for this race, and unfortunately for him, that is the first retirement of the British Grand Prix, and it's just not been the Ferrari's day. Meanwhile, Yortster unable to make a move yet, though he's gonna have to be aware of this, though, because not only is he stuck behind that AlphaTauri, but he's also got a Mercedes creeping up on him. Echo has closed in on these guys quite dramatically, to say the least. Now he's within a shot of P6 in this race. He does have DRS, and, well, Yortster looking once again for the move for P6, but Quicktongue placing his car very nicely indeed. So Quicktongue just able to stay ahead of the McLaren for the time being, though having a little bit of a snap of oversteer. He's able to collect it, though. Now Yortster actually dropping back a little bit now. He is in relation to Quicktongue, and now Echo Echo is closing in on these guys once again. Obviously being on those medium compounded tire. And he can definitely go to the end on those mediums. Same with Kieran. So Echo, gonna have to think of a move eventually. He's gonna have to think of something, but right now he's not able to do anything yet. Keyword yet. He might be able to do something later. Meanwhile, battle for P1 has started to stretch out a little bit as Gary is falling back onto the back of Kieran, and now he's outside of a second in this race. And well, Kieran, he's going to have to try to pull this gap if he wants to do anything. Meanwhile, battle for P9 as Stig has managed to get ahead of Bald Guy. That's the battle for P9 swinging into the way of the Red Bull. Meanwhile, we have a yellow flag. Once again, that being of Redeemer. He spun round at turn 4. It's not been Redeemer's day for for the British Grand Prix. Though, it's not... Things can still definitely look up for Alfa Romeo, though, because Gert minding his own business. He's currently sitting in P5. He's quite a ways off of one underdog, but he's also quite a ways ahead of Quick Tongue. As Kieran grabs another 3-second time penalty. I don't think he's going to pull 6 seconds, if I'm being perfectly honest. He is now at risk of losing third. Or no, at risk of losing second now. So Kieran, playing with the track limits a little bit too much. And it's going to cost him. It's definitely going to cost him. As Yortster's still looking for a move on Quick Tongue. Right now, this is one of the closest battles on track between Quick Tongue, Yortster, and Echo. Obviously, Echo not able to do anything right now. He's stuck within this DRS train, and Yortster, he's going to have to launch an attack. It's as simple as that. He's going to have to launch an attack, and the yellow flag once again through Sector 3, that being a Redeemer once more. Redeemer not having a good time here at the British Grand Prix. He's going to continue going, though, so fair play. He's probably thinking, maybe someone will crash. I don't know. We'll have to see. What Yortster needs, he needs a bit of ERS to play with. Once he has that ERS to play with, then he can close in onto the back of Quick Tongue. Quick Tongue not having a good mag into Beckett's there. This is going to be the McLaren shot right here. He has the DRS. He has the slipstream. He's going alongside the AlphaTauri. And they're going wheel to wheel now through to Stowe. This could be the move for Yortster. Indeed it is. Yortster moving himself up into 6th place. Finally, he's cleared that AlphaTauri. Quick Tongue now down to P7. And Echo dropping back a little bit, actually. I'm not sure what's happened there to the Mercedes. He's dropped back a little bit, though, from this battle. We saw him on the back of these guys, but he's fallen a little. He's going to close it back up once again, obviously being on those medium compounded tires. We have a yellow flag, and that being of the Unknown. The Unknown having a bit of a moment. That's not what he would have wanted. He's down in P12, and it's not entirely been the race for him, to put it simply. Quick Tongue is going to have the DRS on Yortster once again. That AlphaTauri looking pretty slippy in a straight line, needless to say. He's not able to make a move. He's not able to make a move yet, as the Unknown gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's probably going to go onto the side of sauce, potentially try and go for a bit of a fastest lap, potentially. We'll have to see. Yeah, it's not been a Williams day. It's not been an Alfa Romeo. It's not been an Alpine day either. Same with Ferrari, though Ferrari can still definitely get a point ball guy there. Currently in P10, just kind of minding his own business as of right now. So right now, still the closest battle, that being of Quick Tongue, Yortster, and Echo. Quick Tongue able to stay within the DRS of Yortster, so Yortster not exactly having the pace to pull away from the AlphaTauri, though Quick Tongue not able to close up as much as he would like. And, well, now he's going to think, well, is Echo going to potentially try and close in? Because Echo is looking for that P7. I mean, he still get that P7, granted, as long as he stays within 3 seconds of Quick Tongue here. That's a battle for P6. That's, well, P7 as well, so there you go. Meanwhile, Stig, we haven't really mentioned him, but he's kind of minding his own. He's in P9. He's not had the best of races, but you still get something out of it. So, at the end of the day, points are points for the Red Bull. That's probably not what he would have wanted after his success in Canada. But, yeah. things change. Things change. Meanwhile, could we see a bit of a battle between Koenigsegg and Gary here? Koenigsegg has closed up a little bit on Gary through these past couple of laps. So Gary might be potentially struggling a little. I'm not entirely sure. But Gary falling back now to 3 seconds between himself and Kieran. Now Koenigsegg is thinking, alright, well, Gary's dislodged. I have 4 laps once I cross the line. And you're closing in a couple of tenths a lap. Going to be thinking about if he can take P2. And if he takes P2, he's en route for P1, because obviously Kieran does have that 6 second time penalty. So Koenigsegg is going to have to look for a move soon, if not now. He's not getting the traction here out of Sector 1, so now Gary's starting to push a little bit. Now Koenigsegg, he's either hoping that Gary makes a mistake, or Gary gets a 3 second. Well, I don't think Gary's actually gotten a single penalty this season, so probably throw that out the window. Yeah, no, he's gonna have to think about something. He's gonna want to push it. He's going to want to push it no matter what he does, because he wants to close in onto the back of Gary, but he doesn't have the traction. He has the pace. Obviously, he grabbed pole, but the traction might be playing a part here. Obviously, Gary on fresher hards. We look over at the tires. Yeah, so he has 2-lap fresher hards in relation to Koenigsegg, so he definitely has a little bit more grip in hand in relation to the Mercedes. Sorry for the yawn a little bit. Not sure if you guys noticed it, but yeah, I had a little bit of a yawn. That's I expected a little bit more, if I'm being honest, for this being a British Grand Prix, as I now officially have a cat right beside me. There we go. So lap 24 of 26, Kieran leads from Gary, from Koenigsegg, though Kieran has that 6 second, as I mentioned before, and that will put him down to P3, because obviously Underdog does have a 3 second time penalty, and with that, he also just not within that gap, so it's a double whammy, really. So Kieran just pushing along, potentially looking for a move. That's not Kieran. There we go. Potentially hoping that he can pull this gap, though 3 seconds more within 3 laps, that's a bit of a tall order. Especially when his hard's potentially going off a little bit at this stage of the race. Meanwhile, battle for P8, we could see a little bit of shuffling going on here, as Echo is closing in onto the back of Quick-Tongue once again. Quick-Tongue has been absolutely dropped by Yordster now. Yordster finally showing that he has the pace, and now he is just absolutely dropped Quick-Tongue for P6. And, well, P7, track battle can still happen, as Echo still has plenty of life on those medium compounded tire, and Quick-Tongue still having enough grip, but Echo, obviously being on a fresher compound, is really playing a factor here in the British Grand Prix, as he has the DRS, he has the slipstream, but he's not able to do anything, so maybe DRS not as powerful as we really expected, to be honest. I know that sounded like a voice crack, it really wasn't. That was just me speaking weird. The Quick-Tongue making a little bit of a mess of the final chicane there, and that's not what he would have wanted, is now Echo really closing in for P7. Echo, theoretically, he just has to stay behind, really, does the Mercedes. He has P7 as long as he stays within that gap. That's really it. As Quick-Tongue now grabs another 3 second time penalty. I was on board with that one. So that's now 6 seconds. And now Echo has gone for the move. Echo, I think Quick-Tongue just rather let him by. Quick-Tongue thought, there's no point fighting this. And, well, he didn't really fight it that much. And, well, there you go. That is Echo now up into 7th. Quick-Tongue down to 6th. I mean, what? Down to 8th. My apologies. Numbers. Numbers. I love numbers. No, I don't. Nobody does. By the way, actually, I want to quickly mention, Kieran is a tenth or so away from getting P2. Can he take P2 in this British Grand Prix? The win, he'd have to gain around 2 seconds. We're on the final lap of the British Grand Prix. Been a safety carless British Grand Prix, to say the least. We've only had one retirement here for this race, which is quite surprising, actually. I kind of expected more, kind of. And Kieran, currently in this race, Echo grabs a 3-second time penalty, but he still has 3 seconds less in relation to Quick Tongue. So he's okay with it. Unknown now grabs the fastest lap of this Grand Prix with 1:30.4. So the Williams will take the fastest lap. He will not take the point, though, as unfortunately he is outside the top 10. And while the gap between Kieran and Koenigsegg, it's fluctuating a little bit. It's 6.2. Can Koenigsegg have the grip to take P2? Does Kieran have enough life to keep P2? It's gonna be very close. It's not exactly the most action-packed British Grand Prix, I can tell you that much, but we still had quite a bit of racing up and down the order, especially in the early stages. In this later stages, hasn't been the case, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly what people would have wanted, especially for the likes of Kieran and Gary and Koenigsegg. Kieran, he's coming around the final couple of corners. It's been almost a spin to win, but this 3-second not going to help him. He's going to cross the line first, does the Aston Martin. But Gary, once again, keeps his cool. He takes first place here at the British Grand Prix. Gary wins his home race. That's exactly what he would have wanted. Koenigsegg, in just his second race, he will take P2 of the British Grand Prix, and I'm pretty sure he'll be very happy with that. Kieran will still end up on the podium, and the gap between these guys was just over a second. Underdog will finish in fourth. A bit of a quiet day for him, but he will take it nonetheless. Yortster actually managed to pit Gert for fifth, as Gert got a 3-second time penalty at the last couple of corners. Gert will finish in sixth. Echo will finish in seventh. Quick Tongue in eighth. Stig still managing to recover to P9 here. And Bald Guy rounding out the points paying positions. Or even Killer, unfortunately just missing out. Unknown, unfortunately being lapped here in the British Grand Prix. He does take the fastest lap, but unfortunately will not take that point, as we're now going to wait for Redeemer to across the line to finish in P12. But Gary, once again, he played a calm. He simply didn't have the pace, but at the end of the day, once again, he gets the result. His fourth win in the season, and keeps his run of finishing on the podium in every single race. Driver of the day goes to Gary. Obviously, that start from Gary as well at the beginning of the race definitely helped with that. There you go. Your race winner of the British Grand Prix at his home track. And, well, isn't that lovely indeed? He takes the win here at Silverstone. Koenigsegg in just his second race. And he will take a podium for Williams. So, once again, another good race there from him. And, well, a bit of a quiet one. Well, not a quiet one, but a pretty quick one. But he took third place. Bit of an interesting British Grand Prix. Not exactly what I expected, but nonetheless. As I shall now invite the drivers for their podium interviews. Gary, as I said before, he takes the win here at Silverstone. And, well, that's exactly what he would have wanted at his home race. Koenigsegg will take second place ahead of Kieran. That's your podium. Underdog will finish in fourth ahead of Yortster. Then it's Gert in sixth ahead of Echo. Then it's Quick Tongue, Stig, Bald Guy rounding out the top 10. Arabian Killarak, Redeemer, and the Unknown, unfortunately finishing outside of the points. And we only lost Iceman from the British Grand Prix. And, well, it was not a British Grand Prix I anticipated, but it was still interesting nonetheless. believe we're just waiting on Gary to join us here for podium interviews. And there we go. There he is. All I had to do was simply summon him. So with that, we can now start our podium interviews, and we shall start with third place, that being of Kieran. Now, Kieran, you're pretty much up at the top that entire race. Obviously, that spin didn't exactly help you, but nonetheless, that alternate strategy did seem to work out for you, but unfortunately, that 6-second time penalty just didn't seem to help your case. But still, a third place spot for you here at the British Grand Prix. Tell us how that race was for you.
I felt like the race was good. I had good race pace, and unlucky that I didn't get the win, but yeah.
I mean, it was pretty close at the end of that race. You were just over a second from taking the win. That's how close it was between you three. But still, nonetheless, as you said, you had great pace, and it definitely showed, especially on the hards. I mean, you looked pretty quick on those hards, and, well, the mediums definitely also showing that you had the pace, and, well, you had the pace to grab a podium, and that's exactly what you did. Next week, though, we go over to the Austrian Grand Prix. Are you going to try and do exactly what you did, but potentially either pull a gap or just try and limit the penalties?
Yeah, just try and limit the penalties. So I got some stupid penalties, and my fault.
Yeah, well, I guess you could say that is racing, but still, nonetheless, you grab a podium, so well done to you at the British Grand Prix, and, well, that will round up P3. And we'll go over to P2, and, well, in just his second race, he manages to grab his first podium of the season. Koenigsegg, you grab pole here for the British Grand Prix. It was looking pretty comfortable in the early stages, but unfortunately that overcut from Gary and the pace of Kieran just seemed like you just weren't able to catch enough, but you still managed to grab P2 due to time penalties, but still a pretty good race from you nonetheless. Tell us how it was for you.
First of all, Gary and Kieran, great race, boys. Kieran deserved the win, but you know how it goes with penalties. So it was awesome to have the top three within a second. Yeah, dude. Qualifying car felt pretty good, and I've only really done time trial on this track. This was my first full race that I did, so I did not know how the hards were going to work out. So I started on mediums, and they felt pretty good. But I saw, Kieran catching up pretty quickly. So before he got in the DRS zone, I pitted two laps too early. And then Gary, great job with that overcut. I was hoping I would come ahead of you, but yeah. Story of the race was I just did not have pace on the hards to keep up with them. So second by luck, of Kieran's bad luck, my good luck. But great race. That was fun.
Yeah, it definitely was a good race. And from your perspective as well, you managed to grab P2 in this race. Next week, we go over to the Austrian Grand Prix, and, well, it's safe to say that you definitely have the pace to have what it takes to take that top spot. Are you going to try and do exactly that come Austria?
That is the goal, but we've got some fast boys in here, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, indeed we do. We'll just have to see come the week time. But nonetheless, though, once again, congratulations to you on your second place and just your second race here for Tier 3. So, yeah, very well done indeed. And now, we shall go over to the race winner of the British Grand Prix. And, well, I'm pretty sure this is something he is happy about as well. As I've already mentioned the past 5 times, he continues his run and finishing on the podium in every single race. But he wins here at the British Grand Prix, and it is his home race. Gary, you were pretty much there, as always, the entire race, and, well, you just managed to keep your calm, keep it consistent, and, well, you've won your home race. How's it feel?
Yeah, it's third time a charm in BRL, but, yeah, I got there in the end. Unfortunate for Kieran, because he had massive pace on both me and Koenigsegg, but, like I say, I didn't really feel like I had the pace on the mediums. When I got on the hards, I did feel a bit more comfortable. I was able to keep Koenigsegg a bit at bay when I got the overcut, which I was fortunate to get, really. And like I say, with Kieran's 6 seconds, it was just hope for the best that I stay in there. And like I say, he was pushing and he nearly got away again. But like I say, if he hadn't spun, he'd have walked away with it clean as day. I just want to say GG's to him, and Koenigsegg for pushing me as well. It was a good race.
Yeah, it was definitely a good race, and a good race from you once again, as well. That's your 4th win of the season, and your 7th podium in 7 races. I don't think anybody's ever done this, if I'm being perfectly honest, so yeah, you're just looking absolutely dominant here in this championship. Next week, we go to Austria, and, well, I would ask this, but I'm pretty sure I already know the answer. You're going for the win, and you're probably going to try and keep up this podium streak, aren't you?
Yeah, like I say, if you're not going to push, there's no point in trying, in turning up. So, like I say, I'm sure these guys want to see me at my best when it's more sweeter to knock the guy off the top spot down, isn't it? So, yeah, like I say, I'm just going to keep going and keep giving the guys a bit of a challenge if I can.
That is the goal, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the goal for everyone else. Nonetheless, though, congratulations to you on your 4th win of the season, and at your home race, nonetheless. That definitely must feel very sweet. With that, though, that is going to wrap up Tier 3 for us tonight, but be sure to tune in tomorrow for Tier 2 and Tier 1. We'll just have to see how they can handle the Silverstone track. And then, next week, it's the Red Bull Ring. I would say the smallest lap time or something, I don't know. and well, just the shortest track in general in terms of racing. We'll have to see how these drivers will manage it come next week, starting with Realistic on Thursday, and then same time next week for Tier 3 once again. From Vikos, though, that is everything. Good day, good night. See you for Tier 1 tomorrow.